back in 2020, I was heartbroken about not being able to see my girlfriend. It was a very fleeting emotion, actually. I eventually liked it even more that way. But at the beginning, I was shaken up. And I was talking to my mom on the phone one day. And she said, "You got to understand, this is something that could kill half of the population." She was really wrecked up about what was going on. And she told me, "This is the least of your worries." And she said, "Why don't you finish writing your computer games, because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring." And I took my mom's advice, and I wrote the number one backgammon AI in the world. I nicknamed it Corona Gammon. Now, when I heard my mom's prophecy, I didn't want to believe it, obviously, but the back of my mind, I'm thinking that's kind of nice too. The world is a little bit crowded. Now you might say, what if I'm part of the half that dies? Well, that's fine too, right? Somebody else can enjoy a less crowded world. Now, then I moved on to Phoenix, or the Rocky Mountains, and later on to Phoenix, where the population density is a whole lot less, and I really got accepted for who I am. Now, I really got to think about moving out of the Seattle area. Got a couple unnerving situations this past week. I work in downtown Bellevue. Obviously, space is very limited there, and right now there's a lot of pent-up demand for SAT tutoring, which is what I'm working with. Very crowded classrooms. People get into each other's personal space. I argued with a coworker because I was eating and I had my mouth full, and he asked me what I'm eating, because a lot of people get curious when they see me eating healthy foods and they want to know how to eat healthy. To be honest, I would love to show these people, but at the same time, I really feel like I'm just circling the drain talking to these people. They have no intention of eating healthier. They want to daydream about one day eating healthier, but they're not going to take the action involved. But I got my mouth full, and I have anxiety. I hate having something to do that's out in the future, right? When I hear something, I want to respond right away. So I tried to swallow my mouthful, and I ended up having to spit in the garbage can, and I just got very upset. And then I shouted at him. I said, "I'm eating, could you please, later." And I shouted at him and made a scene. I mean, we got teenagers in there and who are studying for the SAT, and all of a sudden, all they hear is shouting. Later on, I apologized to everybody involved, and my coworker actually understood the apology. He told me his brother is a struggling bulimic, and so he understands the importance of being able to focus on what you're doing when you're eating. But I think part of that is just the overcrowding and the whole idea that in a big city that we all live for each other, right? If this were in Wallace, nobody asks what you're eating. They enjoy their food, you enjoy your food, right? If this were Phoenix, people might ask about it later, right? Certainly not intrude on your eating, right? And then I went out to there was a Ellensburg rodeo, but I was at one shop, and they were just about to close, and this guy startled the hell out of me, saying, "We're closing in 10 minutes." And just very crowded, and I mean, granted, it was a rodeo show, but I really feel it could have been handled a little bit more gently. Certainly not something I would expect to see when I was in Wallace or in the Phoenix area. So I'm going to think hard. So after I left the rodeo, I went online to look at careers over in Phoenix, and I'm going to have to think hard about it, because as much as I love the students and as much as I've invested a lot of time to get to know my coworkers, shocks like that every day really put a drag on my life and my career and all that. I mean, the other day at the lunchroom, it took me hours just to completely decompress from that. And often before I get a chance to completely decompress from it, something else is going to happen. It's just this onslaught of stuff coming at me faster than I can disperse it, right? And that's why I had a little bit of a burnout situation last week. Anyway, Seattle was just too quick, and I don't know. I think we should start a slow people kind of movement, right? live our lives a little bit slower. You know, it doesn't have to be so intrusive. You know, if you don't understand what your coworker is eating, that's okay, but take it a day at a time, right?